Today I'm taking you side by side between the RWS and the Gentle Thrills Tarot by Isa Beniston. This is Annette. Welcome to Project Refine Life. A few months back on BB's channel over at Pure Red Velvet. And I really loved the vibrance of the deck. I don't know, there was something about it. And for Mother's Day, my husband and my girls offered to buy me a deck. When I got home, I opened up the deck and I thought, oh my goodness, this is really, really loud. What did I do? Later in the afternoon, I thought, let me try to do a couple of readings with it. Let me cleanse it, let me work with it, let me touch it, let me shuffle it, all the things. And I came to a very different understanding of this deck. I wanted to go side by side because the images are so different than your standard RWS that I thought it might be helpful to just go card by card and really kind of look at this deck. So the deck comes packaged in this box. It is a Hay House deck. It has little notch holes here, which you pull apart. But when I got the deck and I pulled it apart, I could barely take this thing apart, like barely. I was really struggling. So I've had decks like this before where the box is kind of tight. So I just get it and I just kind of pull a little bit on the edges. And now, as you can see, I can very easily take this box on and off. So if you have a box that's hard to take the top off, work with the cardboard a little bit because it's made of cardboard. So just work with it, just kind of open it up and expand it a little bit. But I will say that, see right here when you press in where the thumb holes are at, or the notch holes, you see how it gives? So it's a little like weak. So I can see where this box is not going to last, but it's cute as heck. Look at that. Okay, so let me go ahead and read to you right here. Commune with the universe. The Gentle Thrills Tarot is a tool to connect both outward to the universe and inward to your intuition with its weird, wondrous, and whimsical messages. Rooted in traditional tarot archetypes, this deck offers bold and fresh artwork in saturated color to catch the attention of the modern tarot reader. The simple, beginner-friendly guidebook includes 2 words for each card, one for the uprights and one for the reversals, as well as the astrological and elemental correlations. It is a very simple deck when it comes to the guidebook, when it comes to the art. Not to say that the art is simple. Like I said, I can't draw, so I always appreciate the art. And I do like the vibrant colors. It's just, it was a little loud to begin with. Here's the guidebook. And it is a very, very simple guidebook. It's a total of 92 pages. In the front, you have the contents. You have a brief introduction. You have a section here on readings, the way to approach your readings. So she gives you a little rundown of how to prepare to ask questions and how to shuffle the deck, and whether you should fan out the cards, and selecting your cards and laying your cards, whether they be face up or down. She gives you a couple of spreads, the 3-card spread and the guide star spread. And then she gets right into it. So she starts describing the major arcana and then the minors. So we'll go ahead and look into that just a little bit more after we go through and look at these cards. Kind of wanted to go through the deck with you and maybe look at some corresponding elements that are within the RWS and this deck here. It's not going to be a match, I can tell you right now, but she states that it's a beginner-friendly deck. So taking it with that in mind, and then my experiences so far working with it, I just thought I'd go through it with you. So here we have the Fool, and as you can see, the imagery is very, very different. She does have the rose here, but as you can see these thorns are pretty prevalent here. They're red. And ordinarily, of course, thorns aren't red, but it almost indicates like prepare for this journey. So I just kind of found that interesting. And then you have this like almost vibration going on around her, like her aura shining or something of that sort. Also, the majors are all indicated by this zigzag type of pattern on the outside. So let's go ahead and keep going. Here we have the, oh, and these are the backs, sorry. The Magician. And the Magician, you can see all the tools here. You can see here they have the pentacles, the swords, the cups, and then this flower here represents the wands within the suit. But you do have your astrological symbols in here. Now, I haven't spent a great deal of time with this deck. However, enough time to kind of go through it and find that sometimes I see the astrological symbols and sometimes I don't. But here we have the Magician with all the tools in front of them. The High Priestess, and she still has her books, and those are exchanged here. So you have the black on the, or the black, and then you have the white over here, and here they're exchanged here. I don't know if that really makes a difference. If that's important to you, then that might, you know, that might be an issue. You have the pomegranate curtain here on the side, which I thought was a nice little touch. And here, the Empress, she still has her shield. You still have the symbol. She does, I'm thinking this is part of the wand. I'm not quite sure. She has her star crown on. And she does have that background going on with the trees and with the earth and with the water on the sides. The Emperor. She still, or they still command a very forceful, in position stance. So I do like the way that this is portrayed. So that's the Emperor. The Hierophant. You still have the keys, you still have this right here. I mean, there's still elements in here. Very, very different, but the elements, some of the elements, not all, but some of them are still there. They're still present. The Lovers. Now, the Lovers in the Rider-Waite-Smith with the man and the woman, I've always seen the Lovers card as a self-reflection. And here you have that, which I really like, because for me, it's about loving yourself first, because until you do that right, you really can't love anybody else correctly. If you do it too hard, if you love yourself too much, then of course there's no balance in that either. So then you still can't love somebody else correctly. But then you have these eyes down here, which I really like. So kind of looking at yourself, and then you have them down here as well. You see these little faces down here. So I really like the Lovers card here. And it does look like the same person here, maybe different shades here within the eyes. But as you can see, these little moles are the same. So I dig on the Lovers card. I really like when it's more of a reflection of yourself within the Lovers card. And here's the Chariot. You know, I'm not going to pass judgment on each and every card. I just really want to present it, and I really did want to talk about that. But you can see the wheels, the turning of the wheels here. Here she's holding a sword, and I don't know if that's in the place of this here, this staff here. I guess the curtains here relate to that. So as you can see, there's still little knots here and there. Now here we have Strength, and I do like this because you see how at peace, like in the Rider-Waite-Smith, she is at peace with this animal. I don't really like the way that the lion's mouth is kind of open. I don't know if she's forcing it in there or just taming it or just, coming to peace with it. But I do like this here, and it does have that same kind of look as well. So that relates as well. The Hermit, I dig on the Hermit. I like that the eyes are closed, just like the Hermit on the RWS. She does have her updated little lantern, and I really am digging the Hermit. I like the vibe of it. I like how the coloring or the patterns on this deck kind of reflect inward and outward, and I feel like it gives it a little bit more feeling or thought if you look at the patterns involved on the deck as well. Now here you have the Wheel of Fortune. You still have all your little critters around the side, and this, I like this. I like the eyeball. There's a lot of eyeballs, a lot of little hidden eyeballs in here. But again, you still have that feeling of, you know, those ups and downs and that ongoing cycle. And here we have Justice. She does have her weight here, or her scale. It's a little off here. You can only see one side of it, so it looks like it's a little off center here. As to where your RWS, it is balanced. She does have her sword. And here you can see that energy pushing out. This one, I really love the artist idea, or the artistic idea of the Hanged Man. I don't know how I feel about the Traitor being the title for it. And I know that other decks have that in there as well. It's just something that I might not clearly resonate with. But again, you see you have that push of energy within the art style. I think that's so cool. All right, here we are with Death. And I love like this little sugar skull type of idea. This artist is from LA. So to me, I can kind of feel that whole vibe, that LA vibe, because I'm originally from LA. I live here in Arizona now, but 50 years, I was born and raised in LA. So here's the Death, and I dig it. I like it. Temperance. This one kind of takes me for a bit of a loop. I don't see that balancing of or combining other than these colors here where they're balanced, where they're both on both sides. So I guess that's what it is. But this kind of forms the wings, and she looks peaceful. She looks tranquil, which I do appreciate there. And the Devil, I think the Devil is so cool. I love his chains here. I think it's just a really cool idea of the Devil. I don't think I need to see somebody bounded to get the idea of the Devil, because I already have an idea of the Devil. So here we are with the Tower card, and here we have bats. We don't have any people falling out, but we have the bats and the idea of that destruction, of that structure, you know, taking a beating. You have all this energy pushing in from all around. You have different types of energy. So I do like the Tower card as well. The Star, I think that's pretty simple, pretty neat. I mean, I know the idea of the Star. If you're beginning, it might be a little different for you. The Moon, I really dig the Moon. You still have this water, this wave. You still have this beautiful moon. You have the crescent moon here. I like it. I like the art involved here. The Sun is pretty cool, but the Sun looks a little not very happy for some reason. The Sun looks tired. So that's just my thoughts, but clearly radiating, but maybe a little bit tired. Judgment, she still has her horn. You still have the people. You still have the all-seeing eye representing kind of, well, there's the angel, but I love when they put like the eye in Judgment, because that's the way I kind of see Judgment as well. And you still have those wings represented here. And the World. So we still have our creatures all around the side. We have this idea of this like reef. I like the pointy boobs. I think it's hilarious. She looks peaceful. She looks at ease. She has her flowers. I like it. I like it. Okay, so now let's get into what we're going to do. I know this is a completely different walkthrough than I usually do. I'm going to go through and say what she had to say about the Major Arcana to begin with. The Major Arcana is made up of 22 symbols that represent the forces that affect the lived experiences, beginning with the 0 card, the Fool. The Major Arcana cards trace the journey of an inexperienced individual, the Fool, who seeks to experience life fully. And then she tells you, or she shows rather, the numbers of the cards. In this deck, Major Arcana cards are bordered with a zigzag of black and colored pyramids. So that's as much information that she gives you on the Major Arcana. And of course, every card has your 2-word meanings. So beginnings and reckless for the Fool, wisdom and illusion for the Magician, High Priestess, intuition, repressed feelings, the Empress, abundance and emptiness, the Emperor, structure and rigidity. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to read upside down. The Hierophant, authority and rebellion, the Lovers, choices and disharmony, the Chariot, momentum and lack of direction, strength, fortitude and weakness, the Hermit, introspection and loneliness, Wheel of Fortune, cycle of life, colorful, hold on, control issues, sorry about that, and Justice, fairness, dishonesty, the Traitor, surrender and stalling, Death, change and stagnation, Temperance, moderation and excess, the Devil, attachment and release, the Tower, upheaval and close call, the Star, purpose and hopelessness, the Moon, feelings and, hold on a second, misinterpretation, the Sun, optimism and pessimism and judgment, evaluation and doubt, the World, achievement and lack of closure. Okay, so now let's get into the minor arcana. So the minor arcana is composed of 4 suits. She explains this completely in the guidebook, which leads me to think, okay, this is where the beginner part of what she's referring to on the back of the box comes in, is that she fully describes like the basics of each suit and the minors and the majors. So here she has the wands represent creativity, the cups represent emotions, swords, intellect, pentacles, wellness. Each suit indicates an ace, cards 2 through 10, and a court with a princess, knight, queen, and king. The ace of each suit generally symbolizes new beginnings or the start of a journey. The court cards could represent real people in your life, both past, present, and future, as well as those who have passed on, or aspects of yourself. Court card meanings in this booklet are presented as personality traits. And then, you know, a brief little description of ace, the numbered cards, and then the court cards. Now, for each court or for each suit, she gets into the astrological symbols and describes the suit a little bit. So I'm going to read this to you. The suit of the wands addresses spirituality, personality, and creativity, sometimes called rods, batons, or clubs. This deck uses the terms wands and represents the wands as flowers. Each card's number is represented by the number of blooms depicted, with the exception of the 4 of wands, which depicts 4 separate flowers to further underscore the card's meaning, bounty, and the 10 of wands, whose magnolia features 1 large bloom with petals. Cards in the suit of wands are bordered with stripes. So now here we have the bordered stripes within the wands. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. The ace of wands. Now I like that it's represented with the flower because it represents that growth that's needed in order to create, in order to, just keep going with that momentum, with that force. You know, it has to be fed, it has to be nurtured. So I do like the idea that she's using plants here. Okay, and here is the 2 of wands. And here in these minors is where you really see that this is an absolute pip deck. So if you're familiar with the RWS, this will be easy for you to read, as some of the wording as far as the one-word definition is a little bit different than your standard RWS, but it's still very doable. Like, you can still get into this deck and read with it just fine. Okay, here's the 3. And as you can see, you have your 3 major blooms here. This is cute, and this is the one where she stated, with the exception of the 4, that she's showing more than 4 blooms to underscore the card's meaning, which is bounty. But you still have your tower there. 5, I really like this. So you have this dandelion here, and I do like this depiction of it because it's not really in any particular direction. Usually when you see a dandelion depicted, they're all kind of flowing in the same direction, and here they're not. They're clearly just kind of going their own way and doing their own thing. This one here, I like it because it shows this fullness, like this when you have a garden and you have flowers growing and you can pick something like this, like, let me tell you, that is such a prideful moment. You're like, look at the victory in this beautiful bloom that I got from growing this beautiful plant. If you've ever harvested anything or planted anything and you see these things blooming or providing vegetables or fruit, you can feel that victory in that moment. So I do like that depiction. And here we have the 7. And again, if you look at the way that the energies are moving outward and stuff, you can see some of that. It looks like it's pushing out and it's not well received, pushing in and out. And I don't know, I can see it here. But again, I read a lot within tarot by energy. So this just kind of makes sense to me. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite 8 of Wands. Always we see these 8 staffs just, pushing through the air, depicting the momentum. But here we clearly see the momentum that's needed in order to be fruitful, in order to create. Like, it has to start somewhere and you have to nurture this energy. It has to keep pushing forward in order to have that momentum to provide that fruit. So I dig it. I really love it. And I love that the way that all the energy is pushing out. It's in all directions, not in just in one direction, but in all directions. So I really like that 8 of Wands. Here we have the 9 of Wands, and you can clearly see they're tired, right? And again, you have these little darts pointing down. Here we have the 10, and this is where she says that the magnolia has the 10 petals versus, the 10 of Wands. So you have the 10 petals here. And looking at this, like, you might feel like maybe these 10 petals on this magnolia are just a little bit too much. Like, maybe it's weighing in. And at that point, when the flower has reached that capacity, then it's the end of its cycle. So I get it. I like it. Princess of Wands. She has one eye open and one eye closed. So maybe just, trying to either focus in or take a better look at something. It's kind of cool. Knight of Wands. And here, just kind of looking forward. So like I said, every card doesn't really I haven't come to terms with every card yet. But for the majority, I clearly, as you can hear in my voice, I like it. So here we have the Queen. I would have loved to see like some kind of vision of a cat in here, because, my neighbor has cats and I love her cats, and I had cats before and I loved my cats. All right, so King of Wands. I would have loved to see a gecko in here somewhere. I don't see that. And then you have the 2 different colored eyes. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but it's cool. I like it. Ace of Cups. So here you have this cup that is just bursting. You see how it's open, it's bursting, it's creating its own energy here. So I do like that. And oh, I forgot to read to you. I'm so sorry. You see, I'm just not used to doing it this way. So the cups. Here's your astrological symbols. The Suit of Cups rules the emotional realm and represents productivity and potential. Each card's number is represented by the number of cups shown in the artwork, with the exception of the 8 of Cups, which shows as a moon as a figurative 8th cup. Cards in the Suit of Cups are bordered with diagonal stripes. So let me go back. I'm so sorry. So here's our diagonal stripes. And here we go with the 2. You can clearly see that. And here's the 3. There's the celebration, the coming together of it. The 4 of Cups, you still have the 1 separated, the 3 down. And you have these eyeballs here, which I like. I like that. Kind of leans into the meaning of that. You have the 5 here. I like the way that she puts the bats in here. Let me just read the 5 because I haven't come across this one as far as working with it. So the 5 of Cups states remorse and stagnation as your key words. Okay. Here's the 6. there's obviously no relation because this is a pip deck. So you can't expect that every card in this pip deck is going to have all the artwork included as in your RWS. Here we have the 7. You still have your options, your different thoughts, ideas, and potentials that are in your cups. Decisions to be made, right? Okay, and here we have the 8 where you have the moon as the 8th cup. And I really do love that because in yoga, I'm always explaining to my students that, you know, during the full moon and the new moon, I'm always relating it to cups because that just makes sense to me. So fill your cup, empty your cup, like how is it right now or where is it? So I do love the idea of that 8th cup being the moon. Here we have the 9 of cups. You have that outward moving energy. And the 10 of cups where it's glorious. Look at this. There's like this rainbow. Everything's happening around these cups. It's beautiful. Page of cups. Here we have a butterfly just coming out. Right over here we have a fish, but she has a butterfly, which is really, really nice. Knight of Cups. She's holding her cup. She looks very, very confident and doing what she needs to do. Queen of Cups. I love the rose in her cup. Love it, love it, love it. It kind of goes back to the other flowers here in this other suit. So I like that. King of Cups. Ace of Swords. Now let's go to the swords. So for our swords, I tabbed them so I could get to them quickly. Okay, swords. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and Air are the astrological symbols, and of course the elemental symbol. The suit of swords represents a type of change or process. Think action, reaction, and cause, effect, reasoning, science, and the balance between knowledge and power, good versus evil. Each card's number is represented in the number of swords shown. Cards in the suit of swords are bordered with stripes that play off the dualistic meaning of the suit. I think that was clever. I really do like it. There's some little touches in here which I really do appreciate, that if you're new to tarot, or even if you've been reading tarot for a while, but if you're new to tarot, you can kind of get the idea of energy running through your standard or your deck, right? Your RWS. So here is the ace. Here's the 2. She still has her blinders on. She has to make a decision, and you know, it's a double-edged sword, right? Cuts both ways. So you still have that idea within this particular deck. You have your standard 3 of Swords. Because the 8 of Wands was the way that it was, I was hoping to see something different in the 3 of Swords, but it is your basic 3 swords and a heart, but it's okay. I totally understand that. And I have to remind myself, it's a pip deck, you know, don't get carried away. But she does have this here for the 4. So she is taking that rest. Here within the 5 of Swords, we have this movement of energy and this type of dismay that's going on here with the swords that's visible within the 5 of Swords. So that works. And 6 of Swords, it's not really speaking to me as far as energetic or movement. I do see these little movements where it's kind of pushing forward. So for that, I kind of understand it. And then here's the 7, which again, everything's coming inward here. I would have loved to see something going out, but you know, I'm not the artist and I can't draw, so. And here we have the 8, very much the same type of energy and feeling within both. And here we have the 9, and I do like the skull here because you have these, it almost looks like flames, like these ideas, these thoughts, these things that keep you up and keep you just out of your head here with the 9. And then the 10, you know, it's like in the Modern Witch, right? I'm okay. Not really, but I'm okay. Princess, or, oh my goodness, I have, oh yeah, okay. Princess of Swords, and then Page of Swords. She has a sword here on her arm. I like her little mask. I think that's cool. And then we've got some eyeballs up above. But she does have that same kind of look there. maybe in another direction, but she's still holding on to that. And then the Knight of Swords. Here we have the Queen of Swords. And I do enjoy this as well. You still have that air of complete understanding in a sense. And here we have the King. He has this big shield in front of him. So I'm kind of digging that. There's the crown up on the top. And here we are in the last suit, which is the Pentacles. So let me go ahead and read this. The page, or the Pentacles rather. Here we have our astrological symbol along with our elemental symbol. Sometimes called coins, this suit represents all the things pertaining to finances and otherwise material matters like property, possessions, and business. Each card's number is represented by the number of pentacles shown. Cards in the pentacle suits are bordered with polka dots, just like the circular shape of the pentacles. So it's clear, like when I went to put this deck back in order to share this with you guys, it's very easy to separate them out. So when you're doing a reading, again, it's very easy to see what elemental suit you're in. So you can kind of form, I do that, like kind of form your overall idea with the energy of the reading in all. So here we have our Ace. Here we have the 2, and I do like the way that the glasses make this same shape, and still you would need that balance, right? Otherwise you couldn't see right. And we have the waves behind, so I like it, I dig it. So here we have that 3 of Pentacles energy, and I like this because she's still looking up, kind of like that teach me, you know, I'm still your apprentice kind of idea. I do like it, and her energy is pushing up as well. See, you see how these are going? I like it. And this kind of reminds me of like the stained glass idea that they have here. Here we have the 4 of Pentacles, and she's still holding. She's in that holding mode. Now here, I'm taking that a little differently. Here you have the city in the background, but here it's almost as if, you know, you're being watched as well. Like you're holding on to things, but remember that you have eyes on you. Even if you can't attach a name to them, you know, there's spirit watching you or something of that sort. So, you know, think about what you're doing. And then you have this movement up on top. I dig that. Okay, here we have the 5 of Pentacles, where you still have that downward facing movement. You're moving away from, and everything's right there. So I like it. The 6, I like that everything's balanced, and you can see the scale here. So I do appreciate that. And you have your 6 of Pentacles. So everything's even. So this feeling of reciprocity. Okay, here we have the 7, and she is looking, now he's looking down at the growth and she's looking up at it. And what is that? Is that like a swan, a duck? I don't know what it is, but it's a cute little animal, whatever it is. Okay, so here we are with the 8 of Pentacles. Now here he's still working here, and she's still, you know, she has her art, looks like she has her art supplies out, and she's still looking at her work as well. Here we have the 9. I like it. It works. And the 10, and you still have that tower in the background. You have everything that's complete, and I think it works. Here's the Princess and the Page. And this I really liked, going around here. So you have the seed, you have the petals, you have that primary burst within the, you know, the blossom, and then you have that full bloom here. So I dig on it. Page of Pentacles. She looks like she's, or the Knight, I'm sorry, the Knight of Pentacles. She looks like she's going a little faster than this guy. So that was a little, okay, why is she galloping? You know, we're standing still here within the Knight of Pentacles, but I guess you can take it any way you need to take it, but that one was a little different for me. So the Queen of Pentacles here, I love the way that she's pushing out that movement, that thought, that process is pushing out through the crown of her head rather than the crown. And she's still holding on to that pentacle. She's, you know, loving it, holding it, nurturing it. And here we are with the king. All right, so that is our side by side. So you know, whenever I'm sharing a deck with you, that I just have to share what I'm pairing up with it. So for the readings that I've been doing so far with this deck, I've been using the Narrative Alchemy Tarot by Chrissy Bentley, and I really do love the colors that are coming up and working together. Here are the backs together, so if that is important to you, that's what they look like there. But I'm using it in an oracle sense, where just looking at this one word within the deck really kind of ties in with whatever I'm looking at in the reading overall. And it's worked out. It works pretty darn well, actually. So that is how I've been working with these two decks. And like I said, the overall message that I'm getting from those two is really, really nice. Now, these are some other decks that I've thought about working together. And I have to be very honest, when I opened the deck and I was looking through it and then spending some time with it, I have to say, I even told my husband, like, it feels like a visual assault on my eyes. But after getting to work with it a little bit more and working with the Narrative Alchemy Tarot, that one solid color really helps ground the reading. I would not even think about putting up anything against this deck, the Gentle Thrills deck, with anything more than what I'm looking at here. For me, personally, it would just take it over the top, and it would be too much for me. But this one, the Sacred Symbols, which is one of my favorite decks as well, one of my most versatile decks. If you haven't seen that video, I'll include the card. But this deck is, again, one of those decks that I can put up against just about anything. And I love the art styles together as well. They really work together. So that is another deck that I would pair up with the Gentle Thrills. And the other deck that I haven't worked with it yet together, but this is the Yantra Wisdom, and this is one of my all-time favorite decks. I think that these, the energy, because of the yantras, the way that the art is done here in the Yantra Wisdom, would kind of match up with the pushing and the movement of energy. You know, as a Reiki Master, it's all about movement. It's all about sending that energy forward and moving it, the way that I work with Reiki, rather. It may not be the normal way that people work with Reiki, but I do more of like a shamanic type Reiki. So it's a lot of movement of energy, of sweeping, kind of involving like the limpias and stuff, where you're sweeping and moving. So here you have a lot of that idea together, which I like. So I think that would work well together. And the last deck that I have, and this, you know, the color is solid, but it may be a lot of like, these are hands here, and there's really not, I think there was like one or two hands within this deck, so that would work. And this is the mudras for awakening the 5 elements. She also has another deck available that I don't have, but these two I think would work well together, just using the overall message on the assist of the mudra as your basis or your general energy within the overall reading, I think would work very well. I do like the colors together, and I do think like this deck would give it more of a rooted message, because this one is so vibrant, it's so big that I think you just have to kind of ground this deck a little bit to me. If you like big, bold colors all the way around and you work with Oracle and Tarot, you know, you might feel like putting something up against this deck, the Gentle Thrills, that is, that has a little bit more color, more vibrancy, you know, it might work for you. But for me, I need something a little bit more grounding. So that's why these decks that I pulled, these Oracle decks that I pulled, just have that feeling of a little bit more stability within the overall reading. Okay, so I've shared the guidebook with you, and now I just want to share the fact that these are huge cards. They are Oracle size. So here's your standard RWS compared to this deck here. And first when I got it home, because like I said, it was like a visual assault on my eyes, and I thought maybe I need to trim it down. Maybe if I take these borders off. But you know, once I started reading the guidebook and I recognized that, well, these borders have something to do with the overall energy of the deck as well, taking the borders off isn't an option for me at this point because it is part of the energy of the deck. So again, as you can see, it's big and it's a thick deck as well. So if you compare it to like Chrissy's deck, here's the size difference. Like, it's a big deck. It's a chunky deck. So shuffling it, if you are a riffle shuffler and do the overhand or the the bridge, it might not work out for you. But me, I can just overhand. It's not very comfortable when it comes to overhand shuffling, but I can do like a little side type of shuffle there, and that worked. I did force myself to, you know, go ahead and do like a riffle shuffle on this, but man, it's hard because the cards are thick and they're large, and it just kind of like they just start flying out. Another thing is that the cards are indeed glossy. They're shiny. So when you're reading them, it looks cool, but you know, to show them on camera might be a little bit different. So that's it. That is my review or my walkthrough. I don't know if it was so much a review, but I'm digging the deck. I like it. And I have to tell you, like at first I was like, I don't know if I chose the right deck. Like this might not have been the one that I should have picked. But as I'm working with it, I'm enjoying the deck. I like the readings that I've received from it so far. And so for now, it's a keeper. I like it. And it was a Mother's Day gift. And I love how colorful it is. So there we go. That is the Gentle Thrills Tarot. I appreciate you watching. I wish you a beautiful day filled with love, joy, and happiness. And I will see you later.